Hi, Janet. Hi, Lewis. You're muted. Everything good?
Yes,
Yeah,
everything's
good.
great. We're happy to be here.
Okay, we're gonna have members of our architect committee on, our wonderful relationship. And maybe Mike Salabin will be on too to say hello.
Very nice.
Okay.
And I heard you guys have a presentation.
We do. We're all ready for you.
Good, we're ready for you. So a few more minutes. Henry, how long do we have? We have theme music, by the way. So Henry's waiting for the proper time. Can't rush it.
It's not the same without the tea and cookies.
There you go. I got some for you.
Wow, thank you.
How's everyone today?
Just wonderful.
Yum, yum. Yum, yum.
You were so rotten. I still like the personal touch.
So hopefully, fingers crossed.
We'll get there one day.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be a long day, but it'll be a while. We'll get there.
Michael, how's your brother in Margate?
Hello.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch, a spider's touch, such a cold finger beckons you to enter his web of sin. Kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger. Pretty girl, beware of this heart of gold. This heart is cold. Golden words he will pour in your ear, but his lies can't disguise what you feel. Kiss of death from Mr. Goldfinger. Pretty girl, beware of this heart of gold. This heart is cold. He loves only gold when only gold. He loves gold. He loves only gold. Only gold. He loves
Shirley Bassey, February 1965. Remember those times? Great times. Beatles, Rolling Stones, Anne Margaret, Bye Bye Birdie. And of course, James Bond. This is for Mr. Sean Connery, who unfortunately passed away. That was Shirley Bassey, of course. And the rumor is to have a Goldfinger, you need a permit. Am I here alone? Yeah. Henry,
Yeah, you're
Henry,
right.
You need a permit, right?
Oh, you do.
So maybe Jakia can introduce our first guest today.
Wait, I got another fun fact I was telling Kia about earlier. You want to talk, Kia?
Yes, it is a great fun fact. So on the date that Sean Connery passed, it was,
Oh, yeah.
let's see,
10/31/20. If you add up all
Yes.
the numbers excluding the zeros, it adds up to 7. And then you have 2 zeros, that makes it double.
007.
Mm-hmm.
Weird. Anywho,
Jakia,
yes.
before we introduce our guests, I'd like Jackie to introduce her architect committee who works with our guests.
Okay, thank you. Yes, actually, our architectural committee works very closely with the City of Coconut Creek Code Enforcement. And thank you, Janet, for being with us today. Our representatives from the architectural committee are James White, better known as Jim White, and Richard DeResta, better known as Richie.
see
Thank
Richie.
you. And of course, I don't know if Ronnie's on, but Ronnie is our liaison, is the council liaison to the architectural committee. I believe she's with us as well. So thank you. Thank you all for your contributions.
And Jakia, you want to introduce our guests? Our first
Sure.
guest?
Okay. We have Miss Janet Clark and Mr. Louis Garcia Montano. They are from Code Compliance. Thank you for being with us today. So tell us a little bit about what your job entails and the role you play for our community.
Hello. I'm Janet. I've been with the city for just over 12 years, and I really like it here, obviously, or I would not stay. I work and live in Coconut Creek. I've raised in Broward County my whole life, so I have a vested interest in the community. I keep that in mind every day. It's really important to us, that we take all complaints seriously, that we manage our time wisely, that we make sure we don't make mistakes along the way. But our primary concern, of course, is voluntary compliance. We'll get into a little more of that when we do the slideshow portion, but I'm the senior officer. I oversee mainly commercial violations from Wiles Road south to the end of the city. I have a counterpart who does Wiles Road north to the end of the city. Her name's Brianna, but mainly Winmore community will deal with me. I was the residential officer for Winmore formerly, and now it is my friend Luis here.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi,
My name
Louis.
is Luis Montano. I've been with the city for 3 years now. I'm the code compliance officer with the South or the Zone 1 area, which includes Winmore and all the area from Coconut Creek Parkway to Atlantic Boulevard. So I think that Janet has said it all about what we do here, what are our trades, and well, happy to be here.
I have a question for you guys before we do the presentation. Does any other community have an architectural committee or presence like Winmore does?
The obvious answer is no,
Nope.
Bruce. You're the best.
Thank you. Not me, them. Where's Richie? There's Richie. And Jim's on the other screen. And the other two gentlemen couldn't be here. But just the relationship between you and them and what they look for and how it helps you and helps our community be the best community.
Of course. It is important to understand that the best way to get compliance and keep up community standards is for us to work together with the HOA and your associated board. So as you'll see in our slideshow, building permit violations is our #1 thing in Winmore. And it is important for residents to remember that if you get a building permit violation, you have to communicate with the city to resolve the permit. And you also have to make sure that you do what your board is asking you to do. You have to work with your architectural committee to make sure you're in compliance with the bylaws.
on a council level, you deal with my Mike Salabine here, and I know you have a wonderful relationship.
Yes, very good relationship. Mike's been great.
Right, Mike? Mike, it's your cue. Yeah, you can unmute. Go ahead. Say something. Say hello. You
I'm
gotta
trying to
unmute, Mike.
unmute. I can't. Hi, how are you? How's everybody? Good. Yes, we have a good relationship with the city. We rely on them a lot.
But Janet Louise, Mike always says when he gets in trouble, oh, I'm waiting on a permit from the city. Is that true? Or is he just making that up?
That's
Once
right.
you
We don't do
start-
anything without a permit.
Good, good.
That's right.
That's for sure.
That's right.
A major part of the permit process is the plan review portion, which is undertaken by the building division. So sometimes you'll hear that it's hung up with the city, but usually that's because there's a discipline within the plan review that has some unanswered questions. And they have to get a plan revision in order to get past those answers, get everything that they need so that they can issue the permit and the work can start.
Is it true if I do work in my unit and I needed a permit and I didn't get it, you could rip up the whole thing, start from scratch?
Well, that would definitely be a question more for the building inspectors. And the only reason they'd ever go to such extremes would be to verify the safety of the unit and the structural integrity of the building. That's their primary concern, is to make sure everything's safe.
Okay. Rich or Jim, do you want to add anything before they do their presentation? Rich? You got to unmute. Henry, help him unmute.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. No, they seem to cover it all right. You know, like they said, they take care of the state code part, and the architectural committee here takes care of the nuances that are required under the guidelines of Winmore and our guideline booklet. And it does get together, and we make a happy ending, but sometimes it takes a little time to get there.
And Jim, would you like to say something?
Just in terms of your comment about the contractors using the excuse that the building department is holding up their permit, and having been a general contractor, I know that when a permit is being held up at the building department, it's generally because the general contractor screwed up their paperwork and they didn't give the building department what they need or what they want. And if they've been doing this work, they know what the building department needs, and they get lackadaisical about it. And then we end up dealing with it and calling them in for a meeting.
In the past, we didn't recognize that, and all the unions were upset with your committee. You're holding me up. I want to get this work, and it was really their subcontractor.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so without any further ado, you want to show your show?
We'd love to, thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna press that green share button on your screen.
Can everyone see what we're seeing?
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right, we'll wait.
Okay.
Did you press the share screen button before you opened your PowerPoint up?
Oh, that's a
Think we
great
did it.
question. I may have
Let's
missed
go
that
over.
step. Let's start from the beginning.
This is not Henry's first rodeo, by the way.
There we go. How about
There you go.
now?
Much better.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to your community meeting today. We are Code Compliance, and that is a division of the Sustainable Development Department at the City of Coconut Creek. Our current director is Scott Stoutermeyer. So if you have any complaints about us, you can feel free to call him, but really we'd rather you just talk it out with us. Why is Code Compliance in existence here?
Wait, I'm so sorry. Let me do something. I'll open it up on my end and just tell me next slide, because you're in full screen, but we can't see.
Oh, very good. So you are.
You just
taking
tell me when to
control?
go. Give me one second.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, thank you so much. So the purpose of the Code Compliance Division is we enforce the city code of ordinances. If it is not in the code of ordinances, we do not have jurisdiction over that matter. Some people do like to think we can solve everything for everyone, but always we're going to refer to the code in everything that we do. We like to do this through three main phases. We are going to first try to provide community outreach. If we can talk to you before you get a violation, we would love to do so. We, of course, are going to move to step 2 if necessary, where we begin our enforcement procedures. That's always going to be done in writing, and we'll get into the reasons for that in a moment. The third leg is the main portion of what I do in the commercial side, is we perform occupational use inspections at all of the businesses in Coconut Creek to make sure that they too are in compliance with the codes that all of the other people in residential buildings and HOAs are required to comply with. Next slide. Regardless of all of this paperwork that we have to do, our number one goal is going to be voluntary compliance. So if you have any questions about how to get into compliance, we of course want you to contact us. You know, don't be afraid. We will come out and give individual consultations at your home, at your business, at your HOA meetings like we are right now. And we also have a few opportunities throughout the year where you can catch us speaking at city functions. Next slide, please. The code violation process is dictated through Florida statutes, chapter 162. So all of our actions will follow this same procedure. The reason for these steps is to make sure that we fulfill our due process requirement in accordance with your constitutional rights. So the first thing we're going to do is, number one, let you know that you have a violation. The second step is we're going to give you a written warning. That's going to contain a paragraph letting you know that if you don't comply, you will be subject to a summons to appear and you may face a fine for your violation. If you haven't contacted us yet, you should do it at the written warning stage so we can try to understand what's going on in your life and what it's going to take for you, what's going to be a reasonable time for you to correct that violation. In the event that you contest our violation, you believe maybe we're wrong, maybe you think we haven't done the right thing, you do have a right to an impartial hearing. It's part of your due process requirement. If you'd like to get there, just let us know. We can skip right to the summons to appear, and that will bring you before the special magistrate. He is like a judge, but it's quasi-judicial in that our evidentiary requirements aren't the same. And he's not going to come lock you up and throw you in jail. Basically, his job is he's an administrative official who listens to both sides, determines if there is a violation. It's your chance to present a defense. And he considers both sides. If a violation exists, then he decides how much time you need to correct the violation. He enters a final order. And if you fail to comply with that final order, we will fine your property in accordance with our code of ordinances. It doesn't mean we're necessarily going to come in and correct the violation. It does mean we're going to fine you. This may seem like maybe we're not doing enough, but again, this is Florida statutes. We have a lot of laws to consider when we come in there. And we're, again, looking for compliance. We're not looking to fine you. So again, if you get a written warning, please reach out to us. Next slide, please. People may like to know what we're doing over here. And in the spirit of transparency, our city has worked very, very hard on coconutcreek.net, which is our public domain. You can find almost anything you need to know about the city on there. So if you want to know about your violation or your neighbor's violation, you can just go to coconutcreek.net. You can go to the government tab, click on code compliance there, and you'll receive our page where you can find links to the codes. You can look up your code cases, so on and so forth. There's a lot you can do there. You can email us, you can call us from that area. So that's a good tool. You may see right behind that a little banner about our Coconut Creek Recycling Drop-Off Center. I understand people have a lot of questions about that, and I don't have time to cover all that. But if you'd like to learn about our new recycling program, just go ahead and click that Home tab. And underneath City News, you'll find the frequently asked questions on our recycling. Next tab, please. This is your code team zone and breakdown for the entire community. Again, you are in zone 1, which is there at the bottom of the map in green. Your officer is Luis, and again, I'm the senior officer for that zone. If you wish to reach our direct boss, his name is Daniel Nelson. He's the Community Enhancement Manager. And mainly, he oversees code and all of the grants that the communities utilize to assist with keeping up with these codes. So Dan's in charge of all that. He's very, very helpful. If we can't help you, he'll get you to the right person. During normal daytime hours, you can contact Daniela Thomas. She's our senior staff assistant. Her usual days are Monday through Thursday. And on the weekends, you can reach whatever code officer happens to be working by dialing that number there in the bottom left. Next slide, please. Most of the common violations in residences are going to be exterior violations. The reason is we're trying to keep up aesthetic standards. So we don't write up a lot of these things in your community, but many of these single family homes, these are the things we're looking for. Next slide, please. These are also many, many common violations, lawn and landscapings, not keeping things up, not having proper screening. Again, this is mainly more towards the single family homes. We occasionally have to work with the HOAs on keeping these standards up, but again, it's all about working together. And as we hope you can agree, all of these things look pretty good around the city. Next slide, please. You may sometimes hear from a specialized group of people in the city called our landscape team. We have an urban forester named Sharon Vollmer and a landscape inspector named Scott Massey. They work together on tree violations because in this city that is extremely serious. The county here has laws as far as tree trimmings and licensing, so they oversee that portion for us. If they have issues that they can't resolve, then they'll bring code in to assist them. Next slide, please. Most common in your community, Winmore, is the building permit issue, which we discussed prior to starting with this. Mainly, I believe everybody's doing the right thing in spirit, as you touched on before. Sometimes they're misled by their contractors, whether intentionally or unintentionally, we don't know. But if, again, you get a violation of this nature, feel free to contact Luis. He can assist you with talking to the building division. He can act as a sort of middleman. But in all instances, as code officers, we are going to do what the building division advises us to do with the case. So always, always keep that building division phone number handy. As a sidebar, on our website, you can also check permit statuses. So let's say that your resident is told by their contractor or the architectural committee, hey, my permit's held up by the city. You can go onto the building division's website. You can do the permit search option using the address, the parcel ID, or the permit number. And there will be a plan for a tab where you can look at plan review. And if there's a problem with the plans, you can see the notes right online in real time. As soon as the building division puts them in, those notes are available to the public online. So you can check your permits in that manner. Next, please. We understand through various sources that there may be some residents within Winmore that like to help the wildlife out by feeding them. But it is a code violation. You may not feed the wildlife. You may not feed what are domesticated animals that live outdoors. Basically, if you feed it, you own it, and you have to take it to the vet and get it rabies shots, and that's just not going to work with the wildlife. So If you have any wildlife questions or issues, the police department did recently add a new position where we have an animal services officer. So most of these calls no longer come to the code office, although it is a code violation. There are instances where the animal violations can lead to criminal charges, which is why it's now handled by this specialized officer in the police department. So if you have any problems, just give Tara Johnson a call. She really, really loves her job. She's been great, and we're happy to have her as well. Next slide, please. Sometimes there may be a foreclosure. It's unfortunate, but they do happen even in Winmore. When a property is foreclosed upon, it is mandated by our code that the bank register it as abandoned with the city. So they have a certain amount of time to come in, make sure the property's okay, and tell us who to contact if there is a problem. So that's just a little thing we like to let people know, that not only do we keep on top of our residents, we keep on top of the banks. Next, please. Hurricane season. We are still in hurricane season. So just as more of a housekeeping matter, this isn't really a code matter, but I like to let residents know, especially there in Winmore, this goes on until November 30th. This is a very helpful phone number that you can call at any time. It's updated, not by our department, but through the city community relations. And anytime there's an emergency, they're going to put a recording on that 973-6771 hotline number. They're going to tell you all about hurricanes. If there happens to be a boil water notice or something like that, they'll also put that on that hotline. You can sign up on our website for Coco Alert. That's going to send you text messages if that's your preference. And there's also an option called the Cocogram, which is a weekly newsletter you can also sign up for on our website. We put emergency information into all of these sources so that we can best get it out to the public. Next, please. Oh, we've come to the end.
Janet, thank you so much. That's a wonderful presentation. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. You have a single family home. You put your hurricane shutters up for a storm. The storm passes. There's no storm in sight. Your neighbors are upset because your shutters are up. How does the city look upon something like that?
Very good question. There are two codes in Broward County, both of which are actually reasonably new, which address hurricane shutters after a storm has passed. These codes only apply to occupied units, meaning if you have snowbirds and such that have a vacant unit, these do not apply. But in the event of occupied units, there is a code within the Broward County Amendments of the Fire Code and a code within the Broward County Amendments of the Building Code that require shutters be removed within 15 days, 15 days of the storm watch or warning being lifted.
Is that just residential? Okay, so if you have a commercial property that's not being occupied, not being used, you're okay. There's nobody in there, nobody in there.
Correct. It's
Good.
the intent is to allow the proper lighting and ventilation and ingress and egress for people.
Very good. Any other questions for our guests?
Barry Smith has a hand up.
Okay, Barry.
Okay, good afternoon. I have a question in regards to building permits. Some people have like an emergency replacement of a hot water heater or an air conditioner. And the contractor says, I'll apply for the permit, but never does. What happens in that case?
That's sort of a multi-part question, so if you just bear with me. In an emergency, it is permissible to make the repair to return your property to minimum housing standards. So you can do the repair, but it is incumbent upon you as the property owner to make sure that permit is filed up with later, or you may find yourself with a code violation. Any work without a permit can lead to a violation.
Okay, now who's I know you're saying it's the unit owner's responsibility, but isn't the plumber, I know in Broward County, responsible? Anybody installing a hot water heater, and that would be the plumber who's doing the installation, aren't they required to get a permit?
There is a permit requirement, yes. That's naturally what all this stems from. Now, if you have an instance where your contractor is not performing, it's incumbent upon you as the contract holder with that contractor to report their license to the state.
Okay, now that's what brings up another question. What if you find out they're not licensed?
Then you've made a mistake in hiring them to do this type of work in the first place. You should always use licensed contractors.
And the Winmore Architectural Committee, because they do that job and they make sure they're licensed and insured. Right, Rich?
Well, a unit owner had that happen and it was an emergency and they did it on the weekend. And then they found out afterwards it was a firm that advertised, and they checked the Google reviews, and what happened was they did the installation and then found out afterwards that they're not licensed. So what should the unit owner do at this point with the city in regards to the installation?
Well, the types of projects that you're talking about require a contractor to submit the permit. So what I have seen people in the circumstance you're describing have to do is hire a licensed contractor and pay for the job again.
Okay, I'll let them know. Should they file a complaint with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation for unlicensed activity? And with the state attorney?
I really don't know about the state attorney. That's more of a question for an attorney. But what I have seen people do is file a complaint for unlicensed activity, both with the state and with the Broward County Licensing Division.
Who's gonna comment on this?
Oh, that's Jim. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, there's an additional dimension to what he's talking about. First of all, if the person doesn't have a license, they're doing the work on the weekend. Number one, if they don't have a license, they never got Winmore approved, because that work would have never gotten through. And doing the work on weekends is not allowed.
Jim, he said it was an emergency. I don't know what type.
Violation.
Yeah, he's saying it was an emergency, but he didn't define what the emergency was. So what was the emergency, Barry?
A hot water heater.
A hot water heater. Okay. It still doesn't, the contractor is still guilty of a problem. He shouldn't be doing things he's not licensed for. Right, Rich?
Absolutely, and quite to the annoyance of the residents and to the contractors. We watch and check all of their licenses and their insurances.
Thank you. Jackie, Ronnie just came
I have
aboard.
a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
Even though that's an emergency repair, doesn't that hot water heater has to be brought up to code also, right?
Right.
Where'd she go?
You're right, Mike. Of course.
Okay.
Jackie, did you want to introduce Ronnie Sidney? She's on board now.
I did introduce Ronnie. Unfortunately, she wasn't with us at the time. Ronnie Sidney is the council's liaison to the architectural committee.
I am, and it's a wonderful working committee, but it's Jim and Rick and Tom that have the expertise that really review all the submissions with the contractors, and they do a great job.
And let's not forget Tony too.
Oh, Tony too, of course.
Tony too.
Tony too.
Tony 1 and Tony 2.
Mhm.
Okay, good. We'd like to thank you for joining us. That was very informative. And you guys are always welcome back. And we're going to say a nice thing to Mickey Belvedere, who's watching, because you did such a good job. Mickey, you want to say something before we let them go? Mickey was with us a second ago. Mickey, you're not with us? That's stupid.
Mickey, unmute.
Oh, Mickey's here. There's Mickey. Mickey, say some nice things about your city employees.
We have the best city employees that you could possibly look for. I don't know anybody on our staff that isn't doing excellent work. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your presentation. And it's real great to see you guys.
And there's a rumor going around Coconut Creek that Janet is a grandmother. How could you be a grandmother? You're 18 years old. Put your mask down for 1 second. Let everybody see you. Okay. Again, thank you guys.
That's another wonderful thing about the city. We all look a lot younger than we really are.
You don't get old in Coconut Creek. That's the slogan, right? Jakia, thank you again. Very nice.
Thank you, Janet and Louis.
Thank you for having us. We're
Thank
going
you.
to go back to work now.
No, stay with us. You can hear my music at the end. Stay. Jakia.
See you all. Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Jakia, who do we have next?
We have Officer Zombek.
Ooh, it's with the city.
Yes, he's going to tell us what's going on around town.
And what happened in Winmore today? Do you know, Michael, what happened today? You want me to tell you?
Unmute Mike.
Mike.
Good afternoon, everybody. I've unmuted myself. Thank you for the assist. Mr. Bandler, would you like to tell me what happened today in Winmore?
Yes, there was a car accident in Winmore, and the one who caused the accident was tested for a DUI and found positive, and they took him away. So good
Yes.
job that you're checking for DUIs, because we're very sensitive about driving and drinking.
For sure. Anytime there's a crash involving injuries, or even if you just hit a parked car like happened today, if any of the officers determine there's some level of impairment, they may call a traffic unit. And today we happen to have one of our DUI specialists on. So they came out, they did the investigation, they found the gentleman to be impaired, or they believe he's impaired, and he was arrested and taken away.
Not to make light of it, but with the COVID-19, we found that there's many more, whether it's drinking or domestic violence, and we're very conscious of these things, and it's hard times right now.
That's for sure. We've seen an uptick in suicides and other domestic related incidents that we've talked about last week. Such an uptick in those things. People are home, confined, drinking, getting on each other's nerves. So we've seen a lot of that, unfortunately.
What happened to the bicycle patrol that you guys had coming in here?
The bicycle patrol is still out there. One of the officers is in the Coast Guard, so he was called up for active duty with the Coast Guard, so he's not here, but we still have one bike officer out in the city. And
does he have a 3-mile limit?
And he's 4 miles. So, but we'll make sure he travels the circle tomorrow or this week, just so he can come by.
We would like to see him.
Yeah, we still have him, and he's definitely out there every day riding around.
Things have been relatively quiet. We used to get a lot of people jumping off over the wall. I guess since we put the spikes up, that's been a deterrent.
It's a big help. We haven't seen a lot of people jumping the wall, so adding that decorative fencing was a really good idea.
Right.
And I saw your crews out the other day trimming the vegetation from your side of the wall above the fence line, which was good.
It's too expensive to be vegetation. It's luscious landscape.
Luscious landscaping, yes. But we like to see over the fence so we can see the bad guys.
Now, again, with these kids, they were basically going from point A to point B and taking a shortcut, but we still don't want them on here, so it's working. Much of the deterrent is not to get in, but to get out, because if they're being chased, it's much difficult to get out.
Yeah, once they get inside your community, it's really not a lot of places for them to go except back over the wall. And usually we can have a car waiting for them when they jump over out onto Coconut Creek Park or Lions Road.
And what do you do with them?
Well, it depends. If it's just their first time, they'll be trespassed from the property. If they've committed some other crime and we can prove it or determine the time, they'll be arrested. But at the very least, trespass warning.
Are there students going to the schools now?
You have 300 to 400 students at Coconut Creek High School right now, about the same in Coconut Creek Elementary School. So some in-person learning is occurring.
I asked this to the school board one time. If you look at the high school right here, there's like almost 40 buses going to the school. And I understood the reason at the time was because they didn't want to build the school in another area. This was like to save on building the school. But is this particular, is that true, Mickey? Or is it because it's a magnet school and they're coming from all different places?
Actually, that decision was made before I got onto the commission, but there was some talk about, they made Monarch High School smaller than was intended originally. I don't know much more about that.
Any police questions for Michael, Officer Zombek?
Yes, I do. Michael, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Good. I had a resident ask me this afternoon about what was going on at 2 a.m. There were a couple of helicopters hovering over Winmore. Was there anything significant about that?
You know, I heard him as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was anything, maybe it was something to do with on the turnpike possibly, or in a neighboring city. I didn't see anything on the shift report about the use of the helicopter. That's a standard thing. Most agencies will call if they have a break-in or they're looking for someone. In our city, maybe not be, but I didn't see anything significant on the shift report about our city specifically.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I heard the sirens, I heard the helicopter as well.
Yeah, okay.
I see you took away our sign in the middle of the night that said, keep safe, social distancing. Our free trial is over.
We need to get our own, I believe.
Yeah, they're not cheap. Maybe we could buy a second-hand one from like the one we were just using.
No. The proposals are out there. You guys need your own pole-mounted sign, electronic board to keep messaging going.
Okay, you're right. Somebody had their TV on?
Barry has his hand up.
Yeah, Barry has his hand.
Barry Smith?
Hi, Michael. Barry Smith.
How you doing, Barry?
Michael, good. How are you, Michael? About a week or so ago at 2003 Granada, we had a suspicious death. Did you find out any more about that?
It's listed as suspicious because of the age of the person that passed away. I haven't seen any updates on it yet. I will check. So when we meet, we probably won't meet next week because but I will find out for our next meeting if there's any updates on that, Barry.
Does somebody have their television on?
Oh, we're just getting a little feedback from Barry's side.
Barry, I have some questions for you. Security. You had a problem with somebody stealing your light bulbs from your fountain a while ago?
I'm muted,
You're muted, Barry. There you go.
Light bulbs. No, we've had, we thought we had plants being stolen out there. And we put cameras out there and the plants disappeared, but we never saw anything on the cameras. So I don't know if it was an animal that was very good at pulling out with the roots and everything. So we never saw anything on the cameras.
There's another situation that people are asking me, do we have two new associations? There's one sign that says Renata and another sign that says Granada. What's going on? Did you like change the name from Granada to these two new names?
It's Canada.
Yeah, we're succeeding from Winmore. No, actually, when we put up those signs, the people who sold it to us said the glue may not hold. So it's held about a
Right.
year, but now we find out that every so often a letter comes off. So we're taking a poll. Who wants to bet which is the next letter coming off? And I'm going with A because we have a lot of A's. So
I vow.
anybody wants to get in the pool.
All right. So, Granada has a ring to it. It's better than Canada. Thank you, Henry. Okay, who's our next guest, Jakia? Thank you, Michael. Officer Zombek. Anything else with Officer Zombek before we let him go?
No, I don't see any hands raised, so we're good. Thank
Okay.
you for what you do for us. All right, well.
Thanks, Mike. Bye.
The bistro was not able to join us today, so we're gonna go straight into our north portion. We do have Don and Sandy Lambert. They returned a couple of weeks ago and they spent the summer in New Hampshire, if I'm not mistaken.
We did.
Welcome. How you guys
Thank you.
doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So tell us how things were while you were away.
Well, New Hampshire has quite a few. I compared population, and we're smaller. The state population is smaller than Broward County, and significant numbers were lower as far as people who were ill or deaths. So it was cautious, but open. Restaurants were open that you could dine in probably by mid-July. And otherwise, because it was summer, they did have a lot of outdoor seating. They changed the main. We stay at Hampton Beach in New Hampshire, which is kind of resorty. It was very quiet.
Is it a
But
beach?
They had
Is it a beach?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
There's 14 miles of ocean.
Yeah, New Hampshire has a very small coastline, but and so they made the main drag a pedestrian, so that the restaurants were able to move out into the sidewalks, and then the street was the pedestrian way. I played pickleball doubles outdoors with groups. And afterwards, we just were cautious. We didn't have to wear a mask on the courts. We did use sanitizer often, and Don walked.
The circumference of Winmore is about 3 miles. At
2.5
Hampton
on the
Beach,
circle. The circle is 2.5.
2.5.
Okay, but when you're walking from our door, that's why we have it like 3 miles. But the wall at
You live too
Hampton
far from the
Beach
circle.
is a mile and a half long, and people walk to and from, so it's 3 miles. And what they do is most of the people wear a mask, or there's a bike lane. And if you're not wearing a mask, what the people would do is they would walk in the bike lane, so you wouldn't go past somebody else. But it's a beautiful watching the sunrise. We're about an hour north of Boston, if you're looking for a location where Hampton Beach is. And then
You talk
after
like
my
Ronnie.
after
Ronnie,
my
he
three-
talks like you. North of Boston.
We parked the car right next
Yeah,
to
right. Got it.
And then I would go to a gym every morning after my walk. It's called Workout Anytime. It's open 24 hours a day. You have a barcode pass, and you wear a mask to the piece of equipment that you're going to work on, and then you can lower the mask while you're working out. I would clean the machine before I used it, and then I would clean the machine after I used it. And then 3 times during the day, they would power clean all the equipment, the shower rooms and everything else. But it was people were very nice and kept their distance. What they did was they closed down every other piece of equipment, so you're not next to somebody. And the gym was probably about 3 times the size of our workout area here. But those were the things that kept me between the walking and working out in the gym every day.
Okay.
Are you trying to say we should make our gym larger?
Well, I didn't hear
When
that.
people say your gym is 1/3 our size, they're trying to get us to make our gym larger.
Another
This is the way
thing
we
that-
think here. We've been around too long here. I think
Hey,
Ronnie
Don.
Sidney had a question for you. Ronnie, you had a question for? Ronnie,
Don
unmute.
and Sandy.
Ronnie.
Hi.
How are
Hi,
you?
Jackie.
Okay.
Good, good.
Good. Was
Good to be
that a
back.
commercial, Jim?
Sandy was not too forthcoming when she said she played pickleball. I had the opportunity once to watch her play, and she is one darn good player, let me tell you.
Thanks. Now I have
Oh,
uphold that.
it was wonderful to watch you play. It really was. And I'm glad to have you both back again.
Well, we are glad to be back. Another thing that the town of Hampton did, besides the caution with the restaurants, they blocked off probably 8 parking spaces, and then they would allow maybe 8, and they stopped all on-street parking unless you had a sticker from the town. So it also stopped a lot of people from coming to the beach this summer because there wasn't a lot of places to park. So they cut down the number of people visiting that way, and it was really a quiet time. We do have a pool at our complex, and we had people that it was the quietest summer that we had ever had. And at the pool, it was limited to 6 tables with only 4 at the maximum. And it never even reached all 6 tables being filled. So it was a quiet summer, but cautious, but without being really restrictive.
Twice a week at the pool, Sandy would have friends. I think there was 4 people that would play either cribbage or dominoes. But like I said, it was always outdoors, and the tables were like separated, so no one was right next door to you.
Are you guys glad to be back?
Yes.
Yes, it's good to have you back. I know the weather's changing and we don't have much things to do here. We have no indoor activities, but I guess you could just feel the vibes of all the friends and
Well, when you're walking on the beach and the weather says 43 degrees, but feels like 37, that was time to come home.
Yeah, it's pretty cold up there. So welcome
We
back,
have,
and we just hope this is over with. And our board of directors and our officers of the corporation have done a wonderful job watching out for everybody. And you're going to see that while you're here. You know, everybody's healthy, and we're very unique in that sense. That
to be able to come back and know that it was taken care, you did a great job of taking care of all of us. You know,
and it's not over yet. We're just, and
Right.
if
It's
everybody
not
was like
easy.
us, it would be close to being over. But the people you're looking at on the screen right now, all your friends and neighbors, most of them get it. Some people are antsy and they say, nobody tells me what to do, but you know what? You can bring it to somebody who's, you know, has to be careful.
Well,
And
we're pretty proud to
Jackie
live here.
Jackie rarely, it's on her head, okay? And sometimes she goes home crying that people don't understand what it's
Sandy
about.
misses
But I
dancing
keep telling you,
with-
99% get it. They get it.
I do miss dancing, Jackie.
Oh, yeah, big time. Absolutely. Well, welcome home.
Keep up the good
Welcome
job.
home.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Okay, and you can join us any week as a guest here. Julie, are you saying goodbye, hello, or has to have a question? He's applauding. We're not ready to go, Julie. Hold on till later. You hear the music. When you hear the music, get ready to applaud. All right. You know, we have about 10 minutes before the hour. Jackie, is there anything you want? Just anything good in welfare? I hate to use that term during the tea, but any just new news? Decorations. What's our holiday decorations going to look like? Put Mike Salabine on the spot.
Not yet. We're not quite sure, but everyone will be represented. We'll do our best. No, though, it will not be religious. It will be a celebration of all the holidays. But we find it that some people take offense So it will not be religious, but it will be festive for both holidays. So know that. We are getting some questions and some comments about Winmore's a prison. And actually, you know, my mom used to say, sticks and stones can break your bones. So anybody can say anything they want, actually, and we can respect your opinions. But when it comes to the bottom line, it's keep our residents safe. And that's the way it goes. Yes, Andy?
Well, I'd like to say that the pumpkin and fall decorations, I've driven by either coming in or coming from pickleball, and I have seen probably 3 or 4 times people getting their picture taken with the scarecrow.
Jackie's head is getting so big. Look, it's getting out of the screen. It's getting so big.
Oh my God.
That's Jackie's invention there.
You know how creative some of our residents can be? Somebody actually put a mask on one of the scarecrows.
Oh,
that's very cute. That's very funny.
Well, it does seem like it's been enjoyed.
Jackie, tell Don all the work we're doing in the fitness center bathrooms.
Yeah, well, yes.
Putting new sinks in, new counters. Mike Salabine is like
trying to
all night.
Yeah, we're trying to spruce up without breaking the piggy bank. So there are some things that can be done in-house. I know, especially in the fitness center, in the locker rooms and the showers, the bathrooms. So we're going to try to refresh them, and the sauna. There's a list. The card rooms, the couple of the offices. There's some things that need to be done that can be done. The main pool area, major work being done in all 3 pools at the main pool area. So this should be, hopefully, when we can open, there'll be some, you'll feel fresh that it is a new beginning, and hopefully enjoy our facilities again.
And Jakia,
hello.
I'm sorry, who's talking?
Mickey.
Hi, Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey.
I just want to remind everybody that this Saturday we have the farmers market.
Oh, good.
About 30 vendors will be there. It's over at the township parking lot over there near McDonald's. And come out, wear your mask, and you should be able to get some nice things while you're there.
Okay.
Great. Mickey, what are those hours for Saturday?
You know, I don't remember exactly, but 10 to 1 for sure.
10 to 1 for sure. And I'm sure it'll be on the website, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank
Also,
you.
the recycling, which was mentioned, Janet did mention it. Look, you could look it up. It's open. And if you want to bring your recycling materials, they have to be clean. There will be an attendant there to help you to remove it from your vehicle.
Okay, lightning round. Jakia, tell us about the fitness floor for Don.
We will be replacing the floor.
Remember that floor with all the cracks in it? You get your foot caught. If you're wearing high heels, Don, in the fitness center, you could get your foot caught.
Switching around some equipment, sprucing it up, as Jackie said, but it'll be well worth the wait when we open.
Okay, now we're going to go to our producer, engineer, Henry. Henry, tell him about some of the things that you talked about the other day, and then you can wrap us up.
Very briefly, we're going to have a very nice Wi-Fi coverage now at the pool area. Putting time clocks in, new time clock ins for their employees, and a work order system for all the residents and directors.
Fantastic. Anybody have anything else before we wrap up? Henry, any questions or anything?
Forward. Always moving forward, right, Bruce? One step at a time.
If you don't move forward, it's like a shark. If you don't move forward, you're moving backwards.
Right.
One more 2020.
And thank you for the young ones, Henry and Jakia. They've been very instrumental in this. Henry's unbelievable. He comes in here, says, "Oh, I can make the
Those
TV."
folks had some contributions too.
Experience.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Henry, there was a song before you were even born. It was from the Dr. No movie with Sean Connery. The theme to James Bond. You want to take us home? Take us home. Everybody have a wonderful week.